Hello. Hello, Eloisa. Thank you for being here and having this talk. This is the Strategy and Tea. And today we have Eloisa. She's a podcast manager. And she will tell us about how podcasts could help online course creators. And we will speak about all the stuff. Thank you, Eloisa.
Hi, thank you. Thank you too for inviting me. Reme, right? Reme?
Yes. Yes.
I'm so happy that finally, after those back and forth over the DMs, we are here live, and
Yeah.
we are so grateful that we have met each other through LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to have these relationships just thanks to this platform and knowing people, helping others, provide or course creators, but also having this knowing what is their story and learning more about them. So this will be my first question. Just let us know what's your story, how it came that you are doing what you do now.
Oh, okay. All of you have to sit down because this is going to be a very, very long
We have
story.
time.
Okay. So, well, I used to work in a call center company. I am not sure if every one of you are familiar of what it's called, but here in the Philippines, we call it BPO. It's like a call center company wherein you take in calls or you do outbound calls. So I used to work in one of those companies here in the Philippines, and then I was okay. I was okay with how the work is done. I love it. I love the friends that I made through each of the companies that I've worked with. The graveyard shift doesn't really bother me because with all of the companies that I serve, most of us are serving American clients. So the
Mhm.
time zone is very, very different. And if we are going to serve them, we have to work at night. At first, the graveyard shift is not a problem for me. Since I am single, I don't have any responsibility. But when I gave birth to my daughter, then the graveyard shift became a problem, and also having to go to work during holidays became a problem. So I
I
have
see.
to really look for something, um, maybe a job at first that can make me stay at home and then still earn money. And luckily for me, there is a religious leader here in the Philippines who is an advocate for a work from home setup. And I am still subscribed to his newsletter, and his name is Brother Bo Sanchez. And on one of his newsletter, I remember that he was introducing a certain guy. This
Mhm.
guy, he said, is an an internet guru, an online marketing guru. And at that time, which is I think around 2012, 2013, I am not really aware of how the online world works. So what I did is I just followed this guy, um, Brother Bo, who is the religious leader, and then uh, he is referring to the online marketing guru by the name of Jomar Hilario. So I just followed him. I binge watched some of his webinars, and I still couldn't understand what online marketing or the digital world is all about until on one of his session he actually interviewed one of his successful students. And I think at that point I already binge watched some of his interviews with his successful students. But in particular for this one, I really resonated because she is also like me. She works in a call center. Um, she is a call center agent, and she didn't finish college just like me because I
Uh-huh.
didn't finish. I do not have a bachelor's degree. So I resonated with her. So I ended up following her, joining her group, and then luckily for me, I was able to be in a group wherein she taught us a lot of skills, like for a virtual assistant skills. And one of the skills she taught us is podcast production.
Oh,
So
cool.
that's how I came to be. It's
Cool.
long. I told you it's long.
It's okay, but this yeah, it's like the background and where it came from, and that's so it's interesting. And yeah, you were also yourself a listener of podcasts. Were you interested personally, or just after this discovery, you were going to this world?
You know what? Thank you so much for asking that question, Remy. Because now I realize I'm not really a podcast listener. Right before I joined the online world, but I am a big radio show listener. I am a follower of a duo here in the Philippines who hosted the radio morning show. So I am not really aware of what a podcast is until I was really exposed with the through the internship program of my mentor Natasha Rivera, who exposed us on a podcast. And then I realized that, oh my god, this is much better than radio because you can consume it
Yeah.
whenever you want because it's recorded. You can download it, and then I do not have to record it via the radio, like get a cassette and then hit
Yes.
record just not to miss the show. So this way, I just realized that I am not really a podcast listener right before that internship, but I am a radio show, a loyal radio listener. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. I am also myself, since I remember listening to radio shows and enjoying them, and then now, yeah, I love to listen to podcasts as well. And it's just the best of two of them, like the intimacy that you get with this audio in your ears, and then also the opportunity to just listen to them when you need or when you want. So it's so much convenient, but with the same, yeah, advantage of benefits. Cool.
Yeah.
Great. So I would like to ask you a question about one compliment that you have received from a customer of yourself or from a member of your community that somehow has touched you the most.
Well, my partner, I have an agency partner. Her name is Cecilia. And I think it was a few weeks ago. I think it was last week, also Thursday last week. We invited one of our uh, longest client. We have been serving her for about 3 years now. On the 16th, it's going to be 3 years. And during that interview, she said that she will not be able to do what she has been doing now, and she cannot imagine herself going so far or still doing the podcast until now had I not been there for her for help. Because I think, if other than the service provider role that I am playing, one of the crucial role that I think I played is being her accountability partner, because I have to check her out every now and then. I have to ask her, "Hey, how's your recording?" Because your listener are very, very loyal, and they are always looking out for new episodes.
I
So
see.
when she said that, had we not worked together, I she doesn't think that she can go on doing the podcast. So yeah,
Yeah.
that really touched me.
And it's great because it's showing how much you support that projects, because yeah, consistency is one of the keys, because we have so many ideas to things to do and everything, but then actually getting the things done and be consistent over the time, and not just okay, have this idea, I start doing now, and then later is cricket. I don't do anymore, or just one time I do, and then 3 weeks I don't, and go back. And this is for also for the loyalty of the listeners, because that way they will know that, yeah, she will be posting new episodes and that. So that's really interesting and good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how about you, Remedy? Can you recall something that a client or a customer told you that really touched you? Can you think of something on top of your mind?
Yeah, what came to my mind is they used to tell me how much clarity I give to them, because usually they have in mind several things to do or strategies that they could follow. And
Mhm.
after our session, is like, okay, now I know what is the next step, and what is the thing that I am going to focus. Because one of the things that I tell a lot is just simplify and focus. That is easy to say, but so difficult to actually do it, because yeah, there are so many things. Our time is limited, so that's one of the things that a service like yours is helping others to get uh, more free time to focus on the content creation, but not actually on the other side of management, and do the editing and all the stuff. So I would love to know now, how, from your perspective, how do you think a podcast could help an online course creator?
Yeah. Okay. No. Podcast really, because I believe podcast is you said it earlier. It's an intimate relationship. Like it is like a conversation between you and the host. So, example, podcast listeners are very, very, very loyal. They are not going to take you to places that they are going to if they do not like to listen to you. So, as if you have like an online course right now and you think that it's not going to work promoting your stuff on an episode, then you are actually leaving a lot of money on the table, because podcast can help you nurture your listeners. Imagine listening to you for about 30 minutes to an hour. And what is right between our ears? It's the brain, right? So it
Yeah.
is like the information is being feed it's going straight to the brain right then and there. Although they are not going to buy it on the first time, then you still have a lot of chance to still build up the relationship on to the next episode, on to the next episode. And plus, whenever, because people who listen to the podcast, they really wanted to be lead in. You need to tell them what to do. So if you are an online course creator and you think at one point, because Reme, I think both of us are aware right now of the iOS update that is going on.
Yeah.
What happened to one of my clients who is also offering a course
Mm-hmm.
was during the launch, it was crazy. It
Mm.
was really, really crazy because the ads is not working, and the community is still not aware of what we are doing. So what we ended up doing is let's go ahead and pivot, create and record some commercials or
Mhm.
ad roll, and then put it on, produce it on the episode, and then tell the podcast listeners. And on that effort, I think we convert one. But the thing is that one person has been a listener for over 2 years. Imagine it took him 2 years before buying, because he doesn't know that we are selling something.
Mm. Yeah.
We just pivot because there is an issue on the iOS thing and the ads is not working anymore. And we are assuming that he's not an email subscriber, but he is a podcast listener. How did we know that he came from the podcast? Because he said so. Because we asked him, "How
Mhm.
did you find us?" I have been a long time podcast listener for a very long time. Had we not put on that commercial or the ad roll, I don't think that can convert one person because we do not use podcasts for before my client doesn't use her podcast to promote
Okay.
anything at all. It's just for education, for nurturing content, and inviting them to follow the show. And that on that instance, we find out that there is really someone who is ready to buy, and
Yeah.
but the thing is, her his way of consuming our content is through an audio. So
Mhm.
probably if you really do not want to be hijacked, or you do not want to be jailed from these updates with these big social media platforms or social media accounts that like Instagram, Facebook, if you really do not want to be jailed uh, on their system and you still wanted to take control of what you have, podcast is really the way to go because you are not on a rented, it's yours, you are not on a rented place, right? So yeah, so that's one example how a podcast can really help an online course creator.
And I like that you mentioned this because it's one thing that a lot of people forget about is that just because they share one time that they have this service or they have this course, they think that all their audience already know and they don't have to repeat. And this is one thing that we need to repeat ourselves because maybe someone listen, but all the other people are not aware, and maybe they are interested to your service or to the thing that you have to offer them to help them, but maybe you are just not mentioning and they don't know that, let's say, you have place for getting some new customer. Maybe they think that you are covered and you don't have more room. So yeah, I like this example of how eye-opening could be. Like, yeah, we are not doing this, but this could help to bring. And of course, I also agree that podcast could be a great way to generate trust and to grow the authority. Just of this is a great way to use it, because if you generate authority, then they will see you as the right person to teach them and to learn from you. So as a course creator, generate this authority and having this trust from the audience is really really important. So I agree that this could be a great tool to use it for that. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I would like you to tell us about some common myth that people usually have around having their own podcast or that.
Oh, some myth of
Yeah, a myth.
okay. Well, one, that you need an expensive microphone to start one.
Okay.
So those are one of the myths. And then also one other thing is, I am going to run out of something to say.
Okay.
That mentality or that mindset of, oh no, what if I run out of
Okay.
topics to talk about? What if there is another one who is already talking about the topic that I wanted to talk about? What
Okay.
if I think that's the very, very, very common thing that I heard, that there is already someone who's been doing this. And I think, Reme, you have to agree that I don't think, I don't think right now at this day and age, I think everything has already started by somebody else. So this is not
Uh,
going to be. We are not asking you guys reinvent the wheel and do something crazy, because we all know that if you are going that, like for example, if you are going to talk about online course creation, I'm pretty sure there is also 100,000 of people who's going to talk about it. But the thing is, uh, you are unique. And if you could recall my story earlier, with how I found my mentor, is because I already listened to a lot of stories, but then
Yeah.
this story resonated with me. So do not discount the fact that there is no one who is going to resonate with your message. So because that's the common thing that I always hear, that somebody else is already doing it. So who am I to start a new one? Who am I to be also talking about it? Since a lot of people has been speaking about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, as you mentioned, all of us, we are unique. We, our background, our story, our values, they are unique. And we can speak about the same topics. We are not reinventing the wheel, but we will speak about them from our perspective and from our point of view. And this will give examples that are different or some special way to communicate that will resonate with some specific person. And as you mentioned, you could be listening to several other messages and information, but there are some that, okay, this is touching me, this is the one that is aligned with me somehow, and I am really listening to this more. um, and yeah, and it's funny about the running out of topics problem, because that I feel, I don't know, in your experience, I feel that there is these two kind of people: the one that feel that they have too many ideas and they don't know what to choose, and the people that doesn't know, okay, I will run out of ideas. I feel that there is this two extreme.
Exactly. I don't know. Maybe they should meet.
Yeah.
There is at really at one point or another, there is someone that you will meet, that someone is saying, is going to say something from a place of lack, and then someone
Yeah.
who's going to say something from a place of overabundance. So yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you.
The middle point is just more empty, let's say.
I know.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I also would like to know one of the biggest objections, especially at the beginning, that you find that your customers has, like when they are starting, or what are the main struggles that they find out that this is not for me because of.
Okay. I am just going to tell you a story. During the pandemic, when the first time it hit us, it was last year, right? And one of my longtime client needs to cut down some budgets. And as we all know, the podcast is on top of the funnel. And it's also under marketing, our marketing department. And if a company is going to cut down on the budget, most of the time it's going to cut down on the marketing budget. And on that marketing budget, I was there. I was the one who will be cut off because
Mhm.
of a budget constraint. So those are one of the objection that probably some of the new podcast manager is going to experience. But on my end, um, it was hard for me to defend that I am not an expense. That all the more that we should continue on producing, because I think a lot of people is going to just consume content. But his concern at that time is the commute is not going to the population of commuters is going down because of the pandemic. So he said that it doesn't make sense to continue on with the show, And that was a very, very big conversation between my client and I, because at that time I really have to explain that this is all the more reason that you have to create more, because people right now are ready to consume because they are stuck on their house.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are one, that is one of the objection. And then the other one is that it is going to be an expense.
Mhm.
It's because of a full, and then a lack of time. They do
Yeah.
not really have time to do this because they are going to do a lot of things that is going to consume or going to eat their time. So those are the top things, top objections that I can think of: lack of time, and then that no budget for the production, and of course the what else? The objection. I think I think that's it.
Yeah.
Those are the big twos that I could think on top of my head.
And how do you address them? Because I don't know, it just came to my mind, like maybe how you could repurpose your content, and it's from an audio you get several pieces of content that you could use. It's just an investment that if you do well you could take a lot of from there. But how do you address this kind of objection, for example, about time or this?
Yeah, for time, I always wanted to. I am not going to convince them that that they are wrong, but instead I am going to convince them that yeah, you are right. This is going to take a lot of time. That's why you need someone who can help you, because it's going to take a lot of your time. And
Mhm.
the time, I think for sure, if like example, an online course creator is going to start something or going to start having a podcast, I am not I I don't think their goal is to be the best podcast producer ever. But I think their focus should be creating the best content for their community. And how can they do that is if they can get another person who can do the dirty job, which is not their superpowers, and then them focus on the big rocks, which is what they do best with, which is the money making activity. So
Yeah.
that's how I usually deliver it, and I think that's the ROI, them uh, getting their time back.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a I think all of us really wanted to double our time. Most of us doesn't have don't think 24 hours is enough, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that time is one of the objection that is common in to everything, because we feel that yeah, we don't have time.
mhm,
Yeah, as you say, we need to focus on what where we are the best investment for our company, especially when we are small business owners. It's like too many hats that you could we need to wear and that. But yeah, and how the time that you will need to invest in learning how to edit and learning how to what platform to use and all that stuff could be much well invest if you are just creating your content and having someone helping in these other areas. So yeah, I totally agree. um, so now I would love to know one strategy that you have found that is working well for your customers around the podcast.
okay. One strategy that I think I am really, really biased because I am also doing this as a service to some of my clients is getting them on other shows that
Mhm.
has their lookalike audience. Because
Yeah.
I think it's an ethical way for you to meet other people, and also for you to be in front of a new audience.
Yeah.
Because imagine how much can a person spend for a lead acquisition? process, right? But for if you are going to help your client to get on another show, how much effort do they need to put on that guesting? So probably they just need to invest an hour of their time, and then give something like a gift to the listeners of that show. I find it very, very effective because of a new set of eyes that's going to check you out. And also, if the host agreed to have you on their show, it is like saying that to the listeners that, hey, this person is worth checking out.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I am not going to ask somebody to be on my show and spend waste your time just bubbling around. I am confident that I'm bringing on people that can help you too. So
Mm.
that's the mentality of the listeners who's going to find you on their favorite podcast shows. So I think that's one effective, or I one strategy that I really, really find works very, very well right now with some of my clients getting on their other shows. So yeah.
and and I since the how listeners of podcast we like always to know a new podcast to listen. And it's not that you are, when you follow the new one, you are not keep following the one that recommend these others. So I feel that in this case, guest podcasting as well, it's not like they are going to lose listener. It's the opposite. Usually they are going to, both of them are going to get new listeners, because of they have people that are used to listen to podcasts and they want to follow new ones, and that. So I feel that both of them will be a win-win situation in this case usually.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, if I ask one of my clients to be a guest on another show, I will also tell them that we are going to promote your show to our listeners. So it's this is what I really love about podcasts. It's a reciprocity game. You
Yeah.
cannot just take and take and take. I think for podcasts, it's natural that the host and the guest has this uh, like an agreement that, don't worry, if you are going to interview me, I am going to promote you to my followers, and don't worry, because I am going to also do the same thing for you. So the reciprocity game is very, very big when it comes to podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you for all these insights, and it's great to have this, since you are working with different podcast producers and creators. So I have loved to have your insights and your opinions on this. Um, and I would like to finish just by asking you if people want to learn more about you, about your services, and all that, where they could find you. What is the best way to be in contact with you?
Yeah, we have a website. It's called valuepodmarketing.com. And we also has a Facebook page and a LinkedIn page, which is also a ValuePOD Productions. So, and also you can find me on LinkedIn. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Just search my name, Eloisa or Eloisa Almonicido, and also Reme. That's how we gotten in touch, and we've known each other quite a while through
Yeah.
LinkedIn. So those are the three best places. But the best place really is to just send us a DM over LinkedIn if you are using LinkedIn. So that way we can get to know each other, just like Rame and I. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So thank you so much for accepting this invitation to this talk about podcasting. I really appreciate that you take the time to come with us and just speaking about your expertise. I highly recommend if someone are thinking about starting a podcast or something, just contact with you. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you want to add something else.
No, that's all. Thank you, Reme. Thank you very much for this opportunity to to be on your space, and always a pleasure to connect with you over LinkedIn. So yeah.
Thank you. So see you.
Okay. Bye
Bye.
bye.